please feel free to contact me down the road. But one of the questions, I think this is a really awesome one, is if your park's primary program is hiking a strenuous trail to the summit, how can you make it ADA compliant? Well, that's a really tough question. It's a really awesome question, and I'm really glad that you asked it. Is that, you know, first I would go back to the point of program access. What's the purpose of that experience? And what you've just told me is that it's supposed to be a strenuous hike to the summit. So what I would want to do to make sure to very start with is that you have an accessible trailhead, that you have, you know, your site arrival point should be accessible, you have accessible parking spaces, and that you have an accessible route to the trailhead. And both through the trailhead and then any other way that you provide user information, whether or not it's in brochures or your park website or a trail app, that you're providing objective information on the conditions for that trail. I would want to know what the average grade is for that trail, what the maximum running slope is, what the distance is, what the cross slope is, where there might be any obstacles that exist, like stairs or bridges or, you know, tree lugs that are used for crossing the trail. But I would, at that trailhead, and this is part of the standards under the Architectural Barriers Act, that trailhead should include all of that objective information so that people with functional limitations can make an informed decision about what parts of that trail are appropriate based on their own individual abilities. I would want to see that all up front. So that would be the very first way that I would prioritize and look at achieving program access there. Then from there, if you're making any new, doing any new construction or alterations to the trail, I would look at applying the standards to the maximum extent feasible. The U.S. Access Board has a really awesome guide on outdoor developed areas. So you can go to access-board.gov and go under outdoor developed areas and see that guide, or send me an email and I'll send you a link to it that further describes those accessibility requirements under the outdoor developed areas. But, you know, people think that implementing the ADA means that we need to pave the wilderness. That's not the case at all. Our job as parks and recreation practitioners is to make sure that the information is provided up front so that people can make informed decisions. And then when we're making alterations or constructing new trails, we're making sure that we're applying the standards to the maximum extent feasible. I'll ask if, you know, I could do probably one more question. We're coming up at the end of our time. Jennifer, if there's anything else that you want to add or comment on, again, for those of you that have other questions, I'm happy to take those anytime. You can go ahead, you know, please feel free to subscribe to our accessibility management news too. But, you know, we have a lot of work to do.